One of the most important things to remember, and it sort of seems counterintuitive, to be eligible for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, which is the program for independent contractors and self-employed, you have to be ineligible for unemployment. That is one of the most clear language in the CARES Act, is that you cannot be eligible for these benefits if you are eligible already for UI. So the first step we need to do is make sure they are ineligible for UI. And here's where this comes into play very often. Somebody has a part-time job, maybe working at the grocery store, maybe working part-time at the library, but their main source of income, maybe they're a real estate agent, which is all 1099 work. They come to us and like, oh, I made $60,000 last year as a real estate agent on my 1099, but I also have made $20,000 on my part-time job. Per federal law for the CARES Act, we're going to assess them based on, or determine their eligibility based on their W-2 employment. Even though it might be way less than what they make as a whole, the federal law is very clear that if they are eligible for unemployment based on their part-time W-2 work, if they meet that threshold, that income, they are going to be paid out on that. So that's the first thing we need to do, is make sure that they are not eligible for any unemployment at all. Then once they are determined ineligible, again, this seems very counterintuitive, we're saying you're not eligible for unemployment, now we get to go back and work with them on their pandemic unemployment assistance claim. And we ask them, and once they go through that, we are determined that they are not working for COVID-related reason, their business closed down, they have no customers, they're in an industry that's been shut down for health reasons, to prevent the spread of COVID. As long as it's a COVID-related reason, they have to have at least some connection to the workforce over the past 2 years. So as long as they earned $1, essentially, for years 2019 and 2020, they will likely be eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance. But if it's somebody who hasn't worked in years, they are not eligible for pandemic unemployment assistance. So part of the confusion, I think, and I think it's a very valid confusion, is that, one, you hear that there's an unemployment program, you think it's for all unemployed workers, but it's really for unemployed workers who meet a bunch of different eligibility levels and requirements per the federal government. And I think that and also in the beginning of this, when the CARES Act was passed, and there's also the $1,200 stimulus, at the same time there was a $600 supplement for UI, it sort of got conflated, and people were just getting these checks automatically from the IRS or Treasury for their stimulus, and some workers were thinking, okay, I'm waiting for an unemployment check to come, and they hadn't even filed a claim yet, because they just thought it was happening because they were unemployed, and that we must know about that. So while all these benefits are great for everybody, I think just the timeline, and we talked earlier about the sort of the anxiety and confusion when this all came about, I think sort of the same thing happened governmentally. So many benefit programs were passed in quick succession, all very valid programs, but I think it caused some confusion for folks, a valid confusion about different programs and what they were eligible for.